I'll take this. And I will add an image, maybe. And I will go to downloads. There I am. There's my picture on misinformation. All right. Cool. So I guess I can do the meet the team thing. They're like, it's like he's really here. I'll take some questions in a little bit, but first I will just talk a bit about myself. If you haven't heard about me. So my background, I actually grew up in Canada, and I still live in Canada. I grew up in Prince Edward Island, which is a really tiny province on the east coast of Canada. At the time it was about 120,000 people. Now there's about 140,000. Grew up there and went and decided to go away for school, and I went to the University of Waterloo, and then I went for grad studies to the University of Alberta. And similar to Jean-Marc was talking about before, I also worked at other less exciting companies before working at this awesome company. Doing various other software for oil companies and government work and that sort of thing. But, stuff that helped me build my skills and build my experience in software development. I've been doing software development for almost 20 years now. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been really great to be getting into focusing on video games and digital board games because the growth in board games over the last 10 or 20 years has been crazy and amazing, and I'm really happy to be able to bring that to digital. Jeremy and I started, I wasn't here for Jeremy's things, he probably talked about this a bit. We started Handelabra back in 2009, 2010, doing all sorts of different apps. And we met online. We actually were playing Rock Band and stuff together. So we've come a long way since then through various failed apps to successes like Sentinels of the Multiverse. So we're pretty happy about that, and we're looking forward to making more new games as well in the future, and more expansions and content and features for Sentinels. So, do you guys have any questions for me before I take questions from the chat?
I think somebody has to ask you the cookie question.
No one asked Jean-Marc the cookie question.
I dodged the cookies.
I'll answer the cookie
All right,
question.
Ryan, if you could have 10 mediocre cookies or one best cookie ever, which one would you take?
I would absolutely take the one best cookie. I am more of a quality over quantity kind of person. I would rather have one innocent gun than a case of Coors Light. No problem. So that's an easy question for me. Sandra asks, how many various programming jobs did you have that you went with the handle of Migrant P? That's a good question. Yeah, so my handle, Migrant P, stands for Migrant Programmer. The origin of that is actually kind of funny. If you go to, I don't know if it's still up, if you go to migrantprogrammer.com, or if you Google Migrant Programmer, migrantprogrammer.com, yeah, it's still there. It's this website with sort of fiction, weird graphics, and some videos of the original Migrant Programmer, Jorge Gonzalez. And it's just this crazy science fiction adventure story written by, I don't even know who's the author. It's very weird, and it came out in like the late 1990s and early 2000s. So I was in university. I started university in 1998. So I was reading the internet a lot, and I was following this crazy website, and so I decided to pick up that as my handle as well. And so that's an aside. But various programming jobs. Let's see. When I was at before Waterloo, I had a programming job at a company in Charlottetown called Okie Dokie, and then I worked at Waterloo. Probably the real origin of the migrant programmer thing is at Waterloo. I was in the co-op program, and the co-op program is where you go to school normally, but you alternate terms at Waterloo. So I went to school for 4 months. So 17 years old, starting my undergrad, 4 months, take my courses, take my calculus and algebra and physics and whatever. And then I went to Toronto and worked at a real job. And that was at Hudson's Bay Company in their IT department. And then 4 months of that, 4 months back, I went back to Hudson's Bay. And then my other co-op jobs. So you do that for 8 work terms, which makes a 4-year program go to 5 calendar years, but you end up with 2 years of work experience. 6 work terms, actually, sorry. 6 work terms and 8 school terms. And so I also worked for a company called ZTR Control Systems, which is where I learned a lot of my C# and .NET stuff. I worked for a company called Fred Systems doing digital signage, and which was a really great experience. Learned a lot about working in a team there. And those are my co-op jobs. And I also in Edmonton, Alberta, when I did my master's, after my master's, that is, I worked at a company called CodeBaby that was doing digital agents and customer support, these 3D characters that would help you if you're having trouble with your internet access or with your TV or whatever, all sorts of stuff like that. And then I worked for a company called Way2, which is a consulting company, and I work for Handelabra now. I think that's all of them. I might have missed a couple along the way, but basically I move around a lot and I program a lot. And actually, my migrant programming is just beginning. I'm going to be traveling around the world very soon. Next week, my partner and I are going to PAX, Australia. And then we're going to Auckland, New Zealand, and we're going to Sydney, we're going to Perth, we're going to Spain, going to France, we're going to Italy. We're going to be living all over the place and working remotely. So we will be continuing to migrate. She's a migrant artist, and I'm the migrant programmer. That was a very long answer. I hope you enjoyed it.
Some new questions came in.
Do you want to read one for me?
How did you guys connect with GGG to make this game? Asked OPT Lawyer.
That is a good question. We actually met them. We first met them at PAX Prime 2011. We were showing off our game called Uncle Slam, which you can still get in the App Store. It's a presidential boxing game. It would be really good to update it with Donald Trump, actually. Because we had Mitt Romney versus Obama, like it was a whole thing, right? Around 2012. But in 2011, they had just released Sentinels at Gen Con. PAX was, their first PAX. They had a little 10x10 next to our little 10x20. And so we met them and played the game and chatted with them and just really loved the game. So, to be honest, like Uncle Slam has gone nowhere, but that PAX was worth it because we met Greater Than Games. And we found out about Sentinels and we got involved with them. So that was a really great way to first meet them. It was just, Adam and Paul and Christopher. I have a young legacy that I got with my original copy, and I have a signed Gatling gun print, which is very obviously like printed on a home printer. Or not to the quality of the later art prints, but it's original signed by Adam, so that's pretty cool. How many hours of playing Sentinels would you say you have under your belt now? That is hard to say. Tabletop, I play every week, probably about, let's say average like 4 or 5 hours. So like if you take that, like that's like 250 hours a year, assuming I don't play anything time else, which would be not true. And then times that by 4 years. I haven't played probably every week for that long, but say that's about 500 to 700 hours of tabletop. Then digital, probably about that. So probably definitely more than 1,000 of playing Sentinels. Definitely. It's not time to clarify the stance on Funny Bunny. Sorry. Maybe next year. Let's see, any other questions? If I could use Jen's genie powers to wish up a contract to adapt any board or card game, what would you go for? That's a good question. There's a really weird game I have a copy of that I found at a thrift store called Cabinet Minister. And it is a gripping board game where you play a Canadian federal politician, a member of parliament, who is in the cabinet. So you're, the Minister of Transportation or the Minister of Industry or something. And you are vying among your fellow players to become the Prime Minister. And so you're making backroom deals with one another and so on. And this game came out in like the 60s or 70s. And like it doesn't really have a board. It has cards and secret information. And like the rules go at great length to say, the stuff in your hand is secret. Don't tell anyone the things you have. It's not like Monopoly. You're not rolling and moving. Like this isn't Monopoly. Like the rules go on and on about how this is actually like I think it was definitely before its time in North American game design because it actually has a little more interesting strategy to it. It's something I could probably whip out pretty quickly, but it's. Who knows if the person who made it is still around, but that's sort of a weird one. So look up Cabinet Minister if you want to see some interesting bits of Canadiana. It's on Board Game Geek. I'm not sure if the rules are up there. If they're not, I can post them up. Cool. That's probably good, unless there are any more questions coming in.
There's one more. Is there any hero or villain archetype you'd like to add to the multiverse?
I'm not sure. There's quite a variety already. I'm not sure what's missing, if anything. Especially the villains. There's a ton of new villains coming in. I don't know. I guess there isn't really like a Spider-Man. But you can think of like the Naturalist as a bit like that, or various other characters have elements of that. One thing that I really enjoy about Sentinels is that it's original and that it isn't just carbon copies of other characters. Every character is original. Yes, obviously they have some elements and inspired by things from other characters, but that's just how every creative thing is. There's nothing new under the sun, so there's always copying and borrowing and inspired by, which is fine. So, but there's nothing that like I feel like is really missing. So, a teleporter, Sonvar suggests. Interesting. Yeah, I guess like abilities or powers are a way to think of it. All right, so I think that's going to be about it. Jennifer and Jean-Marc, is there anything you guys would like to say before we wrap things up?
Just thanks to everyone who tuned in at any point today. I look forward to seeing your guys' streams today and during the weekend. I won't obviously be able to see all of them, but I will be checking in frequently because I like watching other people play and just see how they interact with it differently than developers do. It's thanks for 1 year. It's been really good, and we're still on track to keep going. So.
Cool. Jennifer?
Yep. And yeah, thanks for watching and listening today. And I'll also be checking in, throughout the weekend, and I'll be playing some games and multiplayer also. So
Yeah, watch out for
probably
us.
see some of you in the game.
Watch out for us online. We'll probably get our icon switched back to the Handelabra hand. We haven't used them on the stream today because otherwise we'd all have the same icon. But
yeah, I think I'll switch back to the Handelabra one.
Cool. Yeah, so watch out for the Handelabra hand or the Greater Than Games icon. The Greater Than Games employees also have a special icon they can use in multiplayer. So sometimes they get in on multiplayer games, so watch out for them. Yeah, so thanks Jean-Marc and Jennifer and Jeremy, who's had to go, and thanks to all of you for watching and participating today. And enjoy the game, enjoy multiplayer, and yeah. So the next stream is going to be OTP Lawyer on twitch.tv/OTP Lawyer. OPT. What? I'm not sure if the URL on our website is correct. It might be incorrect, but it's either OTP or OPT, and we will be rehosting it on our it's OPT Lawyer. It's incorrect on our the name is incorrect on our calendar, but the link is correct. But we'll be rehosting it on our channel, so if you want, you can just watch our channel and it will come up with the power of magic. And yes, it is OPT. Yeah, you know me. And that is all I have to say. So thanks for a great year. Here's to more great years. Bye-bye.
Yeah.